Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. Feast Day, October 16th. Title: The Sacred Heart's Devotee, The Life of Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. Chapter 1, A Modest Beginning. Once upon a time, in the humble village of Laudecourt, a child named Margaret Mary Alacoque was born in July of 1647. Her parents, Claude and Philiberte, were virtuous, leading modest lives devoted to God. Margaret, even as a young girl, showed a deep and abiding focus on her faith. Chapter 2, A Life Shrouded in Challenges. Tragedy struck when Margaret's father, Claude, passed away when she was just 8 years old. To compound their difficulties, Margaret fell seriously ill, suffering from a paralyzing illness that plagued her from the ages of 9 to 13. The loss of her father and the prolonged illness made life challenging for Margaret and her mother, but their faith remained unshaken. Chapter 3, A Change of Heart. During her illness, Margaret made a solemn vow to enter religious life. However, as she grew into adolescence, her path seemed to diverge. She contemplated the possibility of marriage and led a relatively ordinary life, partaking in the social activities of her time. Chapter 4, A Vision of Redemption. One fateful night, while returning from a dance, Margaret experienced a vision that would change her life forever. In the depths of her soul, she witnessed a harrowing scene: Christ being scourged. This vision shook her to the core, and she believed she had betrayed her calling by seeking the pleasures of the world. Chapter 5, Embracing the Convent. At the tender age of 22, Margaret made a life-altering decision. Filled with remorse over her earlier choices, she resolved to enter a convent and devote herself entirely to Christ. Chapter 6, The Extraordinary Encounter. On a cold December night in 1673, just 2 days after Christmas, Margaret experienced an extraordinary encounter while deep in prayer. Christ's presence enveloped her, and she heard a divine message. Christ expressed his desire to reveal his love for humanity in a unique way, through devotion to his Sacred Heart. Chapter 7, The Lonely Believer. Following this profound revelation, Margaret continued to receive private messages and guidance on how to encourage both public and private devotion to the Sacred Heart. However, the superior of the convent dismissed these revelations as mere delusions, leaving Margaret heartbroken and her health deteriorating rapidly. Chapter 8, A Guiding Light. In 1674, a Jesuit priest named Father Claude de la Colombière became Margaret's spiritual director. He recognized the authenticity of her testimony and meticulously documented it. This saintly priest would later be canonized, and his support was a beacon of hope for Margaret. Chapter 9, A Test of Faith. Father Claude was called away to serve as a missionary in England and, sadly, passed away in 1681. Margaret, under his guidance, had found inner peace despite the skepticism of her community. She had learned to embrace the rejection of her experiences. Chapter 10, The Seed of Belief. Over time, many who had doubted her began to reconsider their skepticism as they reflected on what Father Claude had written about the Sacred Heart. Margaret's own writings and the accounts of her experiences would face intense scrutiny from church officials. Chapter 11, The Final Journey. By the time the church's examination began, Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque had already achieved her greatest desire: to lose myself in the heart of Jesus. She faced her final illness with courage, often praying the words of Psalm 73, "What have I in heaven, and what do I desire on earth, but thee alone, O my God?" Chapter 12, Canonization and Legacy. On October 17, 1690, Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque passed away, leaving behind a legacy of devotion to the Sacred Heart. Her remarkable life and unwavering faith inspired countless souls. In 1920, Pope Benedict XV canonized her, recognizing the extraordinary journey of a simple French nun who became the beloved messenger of Christ's love for all of humanity. And so, the life of Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque stands as a testament to the transformative power of faith, devotion, and a deep connection to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Folded Hands subscribe to our channel and receive daily inspiration from the saints. Raising Hands. Join us in honoring Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque's legacy by subscribing to our channel. Get daily doses of inspiration from the lives of saints, their teachings, and their unwavering faith. Together, we can spread their messages of love and devotion. Share your blessings in the comments and share the video on your social networks to inspire others.